In 1975, there was a famous movie called Tommy. It was a psychedelic rock opera based on the famous 1969 record by a band called The Who. It tells the story of a boy who experienced severe trauma and as a result could no longer hear, see, or speak. But later, despite his physical limitations, he achieves fame as a pinball champion. When I was a kid, I loved playing pinball. Pinball arcades were really popular then. Our family even had a pinball machine in the basement of our house. In my mind, playing pinball begins similar to how life begins. A small metal ball is fired using a spring-loaded rod. As the ball drops down the slanted machine, your job is just to keep the ball in play by using the buttons on the side of the machine to control the flippers, to fire the ball back up into the playing field and hit illuminated targets that have electronic bumpers on them. These bumpers propel the ball back and forth as you rack up points. While getting the ball stuck bouncing from bumper to bumper was how you scored the most points, in life, getting stuck bouncing back and forth between poor decisions, wrong choices, and misjudgments is not. Yet that is exactly what reflecting about the past can feel like. There's an old saying that states hindsight is 20/20. In other words, we can evaluate the past more clearly in life than at the time things unfolded. In hindsight, things can seem obvious that were not obvious at the time. In Jewish thought, we are encouraged to make our own personal tikkun. The word tikkun means repair, restoration, and healing. Using hindsight can transform past mistakes into benefits. When we begin to reflect on the decisions we made, we start to see how we bounce back and forth between the dysfunctional paths we placed ourselves on. We re-experience the consequences of our choices, wishing we could have chosen differently. This can be painful, and yet it can still be a purposeful process. So in order to start the healing process, we begin when we stop blaming everyone and everything, when we stop making excuses. There are a lot of benefits using hindsight. It can help us prevent repeating mistakes by recognizing patterns in the past. Our brain builds a library of cause and effect scenarios to guide our future choices. Looking back shows us how we survived through tough times, proving our own strength. By remembering our missteps, it creates empathy and makes us less likely to judge others. When playing pinball, I remember waiting for the ball to drop so I could use the flippers to fire that metal ball back to the top and keep the ball in play. Using the flippers are a lot like navigating the past, sometimes succeeding and sometimes failing. However, if we fail to produce the positive benefits of hindsight, it can be comforting to know that when one game ends, another can begin.